Hi everybody, it's Lynn. So we're back to do block number 8. I can't believe we're this far into it. But so this is, I named this block of Mice and Men. And I remember reading that in high school and it just being a really powerful book. So when I saw it on the list, I was like, well, we got to name something of Mice and Men. But I do want to show you this block. It is a little bit more, I don't want to say fussy, but there's just a couple other things that we've just changed up a little bit. And then some skills that I've taught you along the way. So some that you should be pretty comfortable with, hopefully by now. The block for you to see is right there. That's the block that we're going to be doing, which is of Mice and Men. And I'm going to show you what you need to do it. So let me turn the overhead on. Okay, so this is what the block looks like. And it's going to have 5 different fabrics in it. First is fabric number 4. If you've got the pattern, you'll see this. So fabric number 4 is clover. And remember, these are all Kona cotton, so you can get those. So this is fabric number 4, and you'll need to cut 4 3-inch squares out of that one. Then fabric number 5, which we are calling Dusty Peach, Kona calls it. Not we, Kona, really. It's not me. And you're going to need to cut 1 2.5-inch square and then 2 3.5-inch squares, okay? And then fabric number 6 is crocus. And if you haven't watched before, when I say fabric 4, 5, 6, just so you know, I name the fabrics a number, and then through the entire pattern, when you buy the pattern, which should be in the link below, the entire pattern, it always refers to that color as that fabric number, just because then you're not trying to figure out, well, I called it 1 in this block and 2 in this block, right? So it's just the fabrics all have the same number. It's just another way to help you keep organized. It helped me keep organized, really. It's all about me at this point. So anyway, so fabric number 6, which is crocus, which is a really pretty purple, you're going to cut at 8 2.5-inch squares, 8 of these. It's going to have 6 3-inch squares, which is this size, 6 3-inch squares, and then 1 3.5-inch square, 1 3.5-inch square. And then fabric number 7 is melon, and it is going to have 1 3.5-inch square. And I'm going to show you, these are going to be cut on both diagonals. All the 3.5 inches are going to be cut on the diagonals, and I'm going to show you that in a second. And then the last color you'll need is 2 3-inch squares of the cactus color. Or, I'm sorry, sour apple, which it's actually one of my favorite colors. I just think this little green is really fun. You know what? Yeah. I think I cut the wrong one. So, but just go with me. I cut the wrong one. This is the cactus color. You're doing sour apple, which is a different green. It's going to be this lighter green right here. So, sorry. And I've already done the sample in the wrong thing. But you'll see. There's 2 different greens. So, all right. And it's the lighter of the 2 greens. Okay. Da-da-da. So, that's what you need to cut. Yes. Beautiful. So, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to take all of the 3-inch squares, which you'll have that in the dark green. You'll have it in the what they call crocus, which is, this is the purple. And you'll have it in the lighter green, which is sour apple. This is actually cactus, don't look. But it's the sour apple color. So you'll have all those. So you will take every purple and you'll match it up to either a light green or a dark green, and you'll put them right sides together. We've done this almost every block that we've done. You'll put them right sides together. Then, of course, you'll take a pencil and a ruler, which I gave to myself over here, and you'll draw a center line. You know, you'll draw down the center of the back of each of them, and then you'll do a 1/4 inch on either side of that line. Right? Can you see? I think you can barely see those. I could do it with a pen. And I know some people have heart attacks when you do it with a pen. But remember, I'm doing this so you can see it on camera. But I'm also going to say this, if you choose to do a pen in real life, that's your cutting line, so it won't be in there, and that's your sewing line. So just understand that those are not going to show up. But, okay, so you're going to sew on the 2 outside lines, and then you're going to cut down the middle, and then that will give you these half square triangles. That'll give you all of these half square triangles. So you'll get 8 of the green and dark green and purple. You'll get 4 of the light green and purple. And then we're going to show you what you do with this one. But that's, so we're working on this corner, right? That's what we're working on with those. So, and trim them to 2.5 inches. So once you cut this down the center line, you're going to press to the dark. I always press to the purple. And then you're going to trim them up to 2.5 inches. And be sure, you're going to have a better success and better piecing experience when you get to the bigger things if you are trimming and pressing all along the way. So when I'm saying pressing, I really mean taking an iron to it. You can finger press it, but before you sew it to the next thing, it really helps to have that iron, that hot iron, just lay that down to where it's really clean for you. And I think you'll just find, you'll find it be better along the way. And trim up. You definitely want to trim up. These are specifically designed where they're cut a little bit bigger so that they will end up being 2.5 inches. Now, sometimes I feel like I'm trimming away air because I've just, it'll depend how good your 1/4 inch is. It depends on, you know, how well you mark these and if you stay on those lines. This is my preferred way to do it. You can cut triangles and sew it, and I'm going to kind of show you that a little bit with this next piece. But so just so you know, that trim them up 2.5 inches, and then set those aside, and we'll put them together in a second. So let me get them all arranged so I don't lose out. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take all of your 3.5 inch squares. So you'll have one in this really pale pink, which is what we're calling dusty, or what Kona calls dusty peach. You'll have one in a crocus color, which is the purple, and you'll have one in the, and you'll have some in the darker one, which they are calling melon. Fabric 7, fabric 5, and fabric 6. So these are all going to be 3.5 inches. The 3.5 inch blocks, what you're going to do is you're going to take every one of them and you are going to cut them on the diagonal. Now, there's a couple of things I look at when I decide to cut on the diagonal. All right, so I like this OmniGrid ruler. There are other rulers that do this, so don't just think it's mine. But they have these really cool kind of, if you pay attention to the inner parts of the ruler, they have these markings. I don't think you can see it on the cutting mat. Let me move this over to here. I don't know. So they have these marking of lines that go across, right? Can you see that? Yeah. So those are the ones I'm kind of paying attention to. And if yours has one that says 45, that is where, so you can see this line goes diagonally. If I'm lining up that line to the point of what I'm cutting, then I'm going to get a better diagonal straight line. I mean, you can always do it, but it's just another way. It's just a backup technique to look at that line and make sure you're hitting it the way you expect to hit it, right? So I've lined that up on the 45 degree, and now I'm going to cut corner to corner, right? Now, here's another little tip. When I cut corner to corner, because if you roll into a really little corner, you know when you sew on really short corners, like they can get grabbed and sucked down into your sewing machine. So what you want to do is avoid that. Like you're avoiding that at all costs. So what you want to do is, what I do is I take my rotary cutter and I'm actually going to drop it. The edge of the blade is going to be like a 1/4 inch or a little bit further in where I'm not right on that corner. And when I press down, it's already cut for me. So I'm going to roll backwards and then I'm going to roll forwards. Okay? And that way that little corner doesn't get bunched up. And I'm telling you, that's worth the price of admission right there. That one tip will save you a lot. Now, the other side is, I'm still looking at this, you know, cute 45-degree angle. And I didn't move my block, right? I didn't move my square. I've cut it down the center. You can see the two sides. See? Split open. And now I'm going to cut it down this way. So again, I line that 45-degree up, corner to corner, and I drop my ruler, like you can see, I'm dropping it almost 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm pressing that first away and then going forward. That way, I'm not running up on that tight little corner with a blade that could mush it into itself. And it's just because these are really tight. Now, so what I'm doing is I'm creating 4 triangles. These are going to be right here, right? So I'm going to build this unit, okay? So the first thing I do is I cut those apart. Yay, those are all cut apart. And I'm going to do that with the Dusty Peach. I'm going to do it with the melon. And I'm going to do it with the crocus, okay? All 4 of those, because you're going to make a 4, it's a half, no, it's not, it's a 1/4 square triangle. So these are 1/4 square triangles, right? So then you're going to lay out your triangles like this. So you're going to sew one of the Dusty Peaches on the short side, right? Not on the long side. So it's the short side. Like this. The short side of the 2 triangles, I match up together and I sew them. Now, I will tell you, when I sew them, I will make sure that it goes into the sewing machine. I make sure that it goes in with this corner and not the points. So flip it upside down if you need to, but you want it to sew starting from here and not here, because again, it'll get sucked in. And there are tips to, you know, keep it from getting sucked in, and I don't have the other color, but so I would just put those on top of each other, right? That's how I sew it. So you're going to do the Dusty Pink to the crocus, and then you're going to do the melon to the Dusty Pink, right? And so sew each of those. Right, and you always want the Dusty Pink to be on the left. I don't know my left from my right. I have to think of it every time. Do y'all do that? Do you okay, so this is an L, that's my left hand. So you always want the Dusty Pink to be on or Dusty Peach, sorry, to be on the left. So you're going to put the crocus and the melon on the right, always. That'll work for all 4 of these, okay? So once you do that, once you match those up, and remember, it's the short side, not this long side, it's the short side. Once you match those up, you sew those together, press them. Then you're going to take 1, you'll have 4 of each. So then you're going to take 1 of the Dusty Pink and you're going to match it up like this, and you're going to sew it together. Okay? Okay, and you're going to create 4 of those. So you're building this little, this is the most difficult part of the block. Seriously, it really is. And all the rest of it you've already done, because you've done half square triangles before. And this one just has this quarter square, quarter triangle square. So you're going to sew those together. So you're creating this little block right here, this little unit right here. Okay. Now you're going to trim this to 2.5 inches. So, then you're going to, after you've trimmed those to 2.5 inches, you're going to set those aside. You're going to set all those aside. Then you're going to go back to your, and I always look at this because you always want to pay attention to what you're doing. So you're going to take that light green square and purple, and then you're going to take the 2 darker ones. And I'm sorry I did the wrong color, but it's okay. You know, it'll work. It still works. So this is sour apple in real life. This is cactus in real life. I mean, it's sour apple in the block. It's cactus in real life. So just so you know. But this lighter green square is going to be on the 4 corners. So I always lay these out, and then you're going to look for those 2.5 inch pieces that you cut out of the crocus. So this is the unit that I'm making here, okay? That's the unit I'm making there. All right, okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the light green triangle to the, now, just so you know, this will, if you lay it out like this, every time it'll fit, it'll work out, because the light green triangle is always on the corner, the outside corners, okay? So you're going to sew this to this, and this to this, and then you'll sew those two to that, and that will give you this, right? Okay, let's move this over just a little bit. Okay, so I would sew those two together, da-da-da. Now, I'm going to also, so I'm in, you know, I've sewn these together, right, as well. And I've trimmed this to 2.5. And then this is the finished corner. That's what, so you're going to sew 4 of these, right? And then you're going to take that 2.5 inch block and you're going to sew it to here. So you can see your quarter square triangle is going to be sewn to this 2.5 inch crocus block. Then, to make our strip in the middle, we're going to take the Dusty Peach and sew it to a trimmed quarter square triangle on either side, and then we'll have the crocus 2.5 inch strips on that. Boom. Then, for the final part of the block, you can see I take those 4 units that I made and I sew them to the center, which is what you would do here. You're going to sew these together, sew these together, sew to the center, make your strip, sew the 2 on the outside, then sew your quarter, because you're making this little star in the center. Then sew this to this row, this to this row, and you're done. And then you get the block. So it's a little fussy. It's not like overwhelmingly, like I really don't think it's overwhelmingly fussy. I just think that the quarter square triangles just have a little bit of fussiness that you need to pay attention to. And square up, square up, square up. I am telling you, you will be more pleased with your piecing and the way the block looks if you trim and press as you go. So there you go. That is block 8 of Mice and Men. And so if you haven't gotten the pattern, it's in the link below. Please check that out. It helps me stay on. And be sure to join us in 2 weeks, and we'll do the next block. And we've only got 4 blocks left. Can you believe it? 4 blocks. Anyway, so, and then we'll do, and I'll show you all the layouts and all that kind of stuff that you can do, because you can do this. You can totally do it. Anyway, all right, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.